All right, today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about the real keys to building a thick, well-developed, massive back. Okay? Because the problem with this is that there's so much bad information and bad examples by people who are attempting to treat it like some sort of a little body sculpting finesse thing instead of realizing the back is a big set of muscles. Okay? Complex set of muscles, a lot going on back there, and really just getting all of it thicker is where you'll get the detail, particularly as you get leaner. Okay, and notice again, I have pretty dang good back development, yet all I do is very basic exercises. You don't ever see me worry about the angle of pull against muscle fibers. You'll never worry about me squeezing. Right? You'll never see me squeezing anything in my back. You might see me doing a lot of stretching. But here's the problems that I see, and I think this holds people back. People don't look at it and say, well, since the back's complex set of big muscles, none of it's really isolatable for the most part. Right? Not really much you can do to isolate muscles of the back because of the nature of them. So instead of focusing on big movements for long ranges of motion, people will do all this silly nonsense. Examples, I'm going to list 3 things I see people do routinely, okay, that I think holds them back. And it's oftentimes influencers and other people showing it. And some of it, I saw several of these things recently, like on a little ad in my feed from bodybuilding.com. This cute girl doing all this back stuff who clearly was doing all this nonsense wrong. They'll do things like worrying about pronating the wrist, right? Actively changing their wrist angle when they're pulling. So they might start with, their pinkies out with a fully pronated grip and then twist back into a hammer grip as they do some sort of cable row or a dumbbell row or something like that. Okay, that is a complete waste of time. This is absolutely not going to help your back in any way. Nothing. If anything, you're wasting energy. You're wasting energy shifting the movement from your radial brachialis to your brachialis in your forearm, wasting this back and forth on a twist. Okay? You're not doing a dumbbell curl, guys. Right? You're rowing. All right? People are rowing. And again, if you're going to do a cable row, you better figure out how to get away so that you can get a long stretch and get your lats spread apart, because that's really the key. The stretch on most lat movements, so again, the bottom of a chin-up or a pull-up, a row when it reaches the bottom, and you let the scapula spread apart and stretch as hard as they'll go, and then you reverse it. Or you might even want to pause at that stretch. Okay? This again right there, see my scapula coming apart? That's the important thing. That is the important thing for your lats. All right, but they'll do these little twists. Some other stuff I've seen people really mess up, but I've seen a lot of YouTubers and influencers do this same thing with that, to where they will do what? They'll worry about stuff with a cable and an angle. And that's one of the big ones I used to debunk a decade ago. They're like, well, really the trick, you have to line a one-arm cable pulled out up with the angle of the muscle fibers of your lats. Okay, and I saw multiple people doing this and discuss it, at least three good-sized channels back in the day. None of them had good back development. And they're worried about this, and they were all evidence-based people. Not one of them had a decent back. Not one of them. Yet they were promoting this nonsense. Okay? Complete absurdity. Worried about isometric contractions is another big one. Because people are like, well, you have to squeeze at the top. Why? What are you talking about? Why do you need to squeeze at the top? You're limiting your workloads. You're limiting your workloads in the dynamic parts of the movement by wasting energy up there doing that. And it's not even a good position to build most of the back muscles. Because if that squeeze and contraction at the top was the key to it, then then doing deadlifts would be the best back exercise. Because any form of deadlift is going to put those same muscles into that isometric contraction with that squeeze, because you have to, retract the lats, right? We retract our scapula and squeeze them together on a deadlift, but it's with way more weight than you can pull on a row or pull up, right? Way more weight. So if that was what you were trying to achieve, then just do deadlifts. And I'll go so far as to say that, yeah, I mean, if those isometric contractions really did help build muscle, then just do deadlifts. Because I'm not saying it might not, but the data hasn't been extremely supportive yet. All right, we're just not seeing it. But again, even if it does turn out to be the case in deadlifts of any type, an RDL, normal deadlift, would do that function the best. But I like deadlifts as part of my back training. You guys see me doing some RDLs here. So really the keys is to hit the back from a variety of angles with progressive overload on basic movements. Make sure you're stretching at the bottoms. Same thing on dumbbell rows. I always see people swinging the weight. Here's one of the things I've noticed. When you swing the weight up to your hip, not only do you lose tons of range, you lose all the range of motion at the top. I find that it's even harder to stretch your lats at the bottom. Okay, because once we're stretched, it's hard to swing. You have to pull. So bringing it up to your chest level, right, does what? We improve the overall range of motion, but it oftentimes also forces us, because of that particular line that we can hit from a stretch position, it allows us to stretch it even more. So we're getting a longer range of motion at both the top and the bottom, particularly the top, but it still can allow for more. But you've got to be spreading those scapula parts. So even here when I'm doing these rows, notice that last little bit when I get to the bottom, I'm not fighting against the eccentric there. I'm just letting it stretch down. All right, that stretch is the key. Bottom of a chin-up or a pull-ups, getting the scapula part. Getting the scapula part on a dumbbell, a barbell row. I mean a cable if you're going to do that. I'm not a big fan of cables for back. But again, notice you see me stretching that shoulder down, right? We're letting those lats spread apart. This stuff is how you build a big back. This is the key. This is how you do it. It's how everyone's always done it who had a massive back in the past. Whether you choose to do super strict or use a little looser form is probably less important here. People have done well with both. I think we should be generally cleaner on our form. But that probably doesn't matter. Okay, not in terms of development, maybe in terms of injuries, fatigue. But again, guys, this is how you build a back. All about those stretched positions at the bottom of the movement. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.